Tonight, a gruesome discovery, the latest in the investigation into the murder of Omar Davis Jr. Plus, a community in mourning as the young man whose life was cut short was about to start a new life. And later, a victim in that tragic boating incident that killed 17 is identified by police. A family mourns and a community is left in shock after the brutal murder of a well-known young man. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Berthany McDermott. The young man in question, who by all accounts had a very promising future, was found dead in the back trunk of a car. 24 hours after police made the gruesome discovery, it appears they are making progress in the case. But it's little consolation for those left to mourn and question this latest murder. We are covering this story from several angles tonight with our Jamila Mizik and Natalia Hall are on the story. We begin with our Jamila Mizik with the latest on the investigation.
Thanks, Berthany. We're here live at the Centerville food store where police made the shocking discovery yesterday. Tonight, they say they have 4 men in custody between the ages of 20 and 56 who are assisting with the investigation. This as family members try to cope with his shocking death. It was an emotional scene on Tuesday evening as family members and onlookers watched police officials remove the lifeless body of a man from the trunk of a black Honda Fit. Family members identifying the victim as 21-year-old Omar Davis Jr., a recent graduate of Central State University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Accounting and Finance. Initial reports revealed that Davis's body was found partially decomposed.
We was able to open the vehicle and uncover what we found out to be the remains of a male in a garbage bag with multiple wounds to the head, face, and chest area.
Today, our news spoke with grieving family members. His aunt, Shanice Ramming, also known as Aunt Mary, recalls her last conversation with Omar, where he told her he was leaving for Atlanta for a year-long internship at Deloitte.
And I said, well, okay, then I coming to you for Christmas. He said, okay, Auntie Mary, we can have fun when you come. And they took me. When him in school, I call him Ma every morning. Oh, Ma, it's snowing. Will you come and bring me back some snow? That's my baby. They had to kill him.
Omar's father, Omar Davis Sr., was murdered at his home on Abraham Street in the Camp Road community back in June 2013. Omar was just 11 years old when he watched his father die on the doorstep. Ramming says the last time she heard from her nephew was 11 a.m. on Monday morning. Family members became suspicious after he wasn't answering their phone calls.
An unfortunate circumstances that occur between him and this individual, and they were known to each other.
This really happened? Like, they really knew him like that? Like, you would have never, ever, ever expect that.
It was, even if they had an argument, it didn't have to come to him killing him. He could have just walked away.
Now, this is a story that we will continue to follow, and we'll provide those details to you as soon as they become available to us. Reporting live from the Centerville food store, I'm Jamila Mizik. BJ, back to you.
Thanks, Jamila. Davis's death continues to send shockwaves across the country. Friends and sympathizers were vocal on social media and in several communities, among them the community where he lived. Our Natalia Hall is following this story and joins us live with reaction tonight. Natalia?
Well, Berthany, from the moment news of this tragic murder surfaced yesterday evening, friends and admirers of young Omar took to social media in an outpouring of grief and disgust. Those who knew him well and people touched by his life and death did not hold back on their emotions.
Growing up wasn't a walk in the park for me. I grew up in Camp Road, which most people refer to as the ghetto. My father was involved in some illegal business, causing our door to be kicked down many nights by the police and me being interrogated by them. But I never let that affect the purpose of my life.
It was this viral video which first endeared the public to Omar Davis Jr. The now 21-year-old high achiever, college graduate, was destined for greatness. Davis was widely recognized following his impactful speech at a Ministry of Education event years ago. Loved by many, evidence in the outpouring of sympathy on social media. In the Fox Hill community where he lived, there was a genuine affection.
Yeah, he graduated with all A's and he had a bright future ahead of him. You know, the man, if given a chance, I think he'd have been a successful young boy. And it's too much senseless killing.
Less than 24 hours after the news of Omar's murder surfaced, emotions ran high.
Because we have families, we have brothers, we have sisters, we have children, and it's wrong.
For resident Rashida Roxbury, this is a grim reminder of the pain of losing a son to murder, having lived it only a few years ago.
I feel the pain of that mother. Understand? These guys gotta stop, man. Screw some. You know, to put someone in the box wrong in a plastic bag, man. That's sad.
The R News team also speaking with Davis's childhood friend, who recalls his excitement at starting a new job next week.
You would never see Omar mad, upset, whatever have you. Like, he was family oriented. He loved his family.
Still unsure of why he was killed, she had this message for his murderers.
You have no heart for his family. You have no heart for yourself and all. I don't know how you could sleep.
Reporting for our news, I'm Italia Hall.
Immediately following the tragedy, tributes began pouring in. Among those sending in condolences was Prime Minister Philip Davis and former Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who explains why he felt compelled to meet the youngster.
He was valedictorian, and I went to some event and had heard about him. I was very impressed.
The former Prime Minister is among thousands of Bahamians shaken by the tragic killing. Following his graduation from C.I. Gibson High School, Davis Jr. met former Prime Minister Minnis back in 2018. And according to Minnis, he and Gibson had a lot in common.
What he pointed out was that he was the first of his mother's child to go to university. And I told him that I too was the first one.
Dr. Minnis says he committed to sending him a financial contribution every month while in college.
Personally, I will send you something every month to show you how much I truly believe in you.
He says he also promised him that a job would be waiting for him once he returned from college. In a statement, Prime Minister Philip Davis said,
"His determination and his success reached and inspired so many."
Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard also expressing condolences, saying there must be a continued demand for the senseless bloodshed to stop. Alive also sending condolences to the family, explaining that Davis served as a summer intern in the finance department back in 2019. Meantime, Dr. Minnis says he's been trying to get in contact with his mother to offer condolences. He had this bit of encouragement for the family.
When you lose a son or a relative, we don't know what were the reason. But God knows. God have a different calling.
Condolences also coming in from the Central University tonight. Young Davis is a recent honors graduate of the Ohio School with a double major in accounting and finance. The statement from the Office of the President, the university president, Jack Thomas, also spoke of his Top Scholars Award for the junior class of 2020-2021. The statement goes on to describe him as an individual with a wonderful spirit, incredible energy, and boundless potential. We've got a lot more to get to in just a moment, but for now, more quiet and warm conditions continuing through tomorrow. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with your first look at temperatures. Greg?
Thanks, Brittany, and welcome everybody for our first look at weather on another warm evening. 86 degrees outside our studios right now with a few clouds. Your winds are still out of the south at around 6 miles per hour, and those feels like temperatures factoring in the relative humidity, very, very warm, 94 degrees on the outside. Satellite view, the ridge of high pressure, very weak one, still in control of our weather. There's an upper level disturbance to the north of the Bahamas, generating a couple isolated showers, but a hot and steamy day around the islands once again. Temperatures managed to get into the 90s, and the feels like temperature into the triple digits. We're looking for some warmer temperatures this evening, but we expect things to cool down by the weekend as systems start to move out of our area. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
When we come back, a man is set on fire. What police are saying about the attempted murder investigation. Plus, the identity of a woman who died in that tragic boating incident last month is released. And later, a deep dive into the Maritime Museum on Grand Bahama. That's coming up when our news returns.
The Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association is proud to welcome you to the inaugural Bahamas Dragon Boat Festival at Goodman's Bay, August 20th and 21st. Come and join your Chinese Bahamian family and friends as they display a complete fusion of our cultures. Race heats will be held on Saturday, August 20th, with the finals, medal presentation, and live entertainment on Sunday, August 21st. Come out and have a really special weekend. Co-sponsored and supported by Caribbean Bottling, Commonwealth Brewery Limited, and the Ministry of Tourism.
Police are probing an attempted murder after a man had gasoline thrown on him and was set on fire. Police say they believe the crime was committed by suspects driving a dark purple Nissan Note. They also reported the suspects fled the scene in that car. The victim was taken to a local clinic in the Carmichael Road area. Police are seeking the public's assistance in locating the passengers of that car. Meanwhile, police releasing the identity of Saturday morning's murder victim. He was identified as 58-year-old Mikel Bain of Kenilworth Avenue, South Beach. Bain was gunned down on the front steps of his home on Saturday morning after he was approached by two gunmen. He was the country's 87th murder of the year. And police are investigating an alleged rape incident that allegedly occurred in western New Providence. Police say they received reports that a 17-year-old girl was on a beach in northwestern New Providence when she was allegedly approached by a man she did not know while swimming. Police say the man allegedly sexually assaulted the victim, who declined police action as well as medical assistance. As police continue their investigations into the country's most recent murders, founder of Families of All Murder Victims, Candy Gibson, says crime is not just a police problem, it's a community problem.
Once a person would have been arrested and charged for crime, they're brought to trial within 6 to 12 months. And that gives family a chance, okay, I grieve now and I get closure and it's now behind me. So we're asking the young man, y'all put down the guns. Every beef or every stew you all have don't have to end in someone losing their lives. At the end of the day, there's no bad man. Any young man can get their hands on a firearm now. So we don't have no bad man no more. Nobody watching no faces. Everybody right now is a bad man. So we're asking them, please, man, you all put down the guns, man.
Gibson says families of murder victims would like to hear from those in higher authorities sooner rather than later.
If the grieving families can hear more from a higher authority, I think that can help ease the pressure. But then when you're not hearing from the higher authority, giving you phone numbers, you can't reach them, and they're hearing from the streets, who they can side with? The streets.
Nearly 2 months after more than a dozen people drowned during an alleged failed smuggling operation, police have revealed the identity of one of the victims. Police identified the woman as 28-year-old Kathia Benias Felix of Market Street. You may recall our news spoke exclusively with her brother days after the tragedy as he frantically searched for his sister, who he believed was on board the boat. Benias Felix is one of 6 victims who were officially identified weeks after the incident, but only her identity has been made public. 45 people were on board a 33-foot twin-engine vessel, which authorities said was headed to either Freeport, Grand Bahama, or Florida when it capsized shortly after 1 a.m. on July 24th. 17 people, including a 1-year-old girl, also believed to be Haitian nationals, died in the tragedy. 4 men were charged with 18 counts of manslaughter in connection with the tragedy. When our news comes back from the break, the Labor Department releasing its latest job posting for job seekers on the hunt.
Plus, coming up in sports for you tonight, Shawnee Miller-Wabo on her way to Grand Bahama for the NACAC Championships. We'll also tell you about a young crew of go-kart racers ready to represent the Bahamas. That's all coming up in sports.
And the Maritime Museum takes you on a deep dive into Bahamian history. The details when our news returns.
The Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association is proud to welcome you to the inaugural Bahamas Dragon Boat Festival at Goodman's Bay, August 20th and 21st. Come and join your Chinese Bahamian family and friends as they display a complete fusion of our cultures. Race heats will be held on Saturday, August 20th, with the finals, medal presentation, and live entertainment on Sunday, August 21st. Come out and have a really special weekend. Co-sponsored and supported by Caribbean Bottling, Commonwealth Brewery Limited, and the Ministry of Tourism.
This is our news. Welcome back. As the economy continues to rebound, job seekers have more opportunities to find work. Labor Director Robert Farquharson says there are openings in many positions, including qualified air conditioning technicians, welders, lifeguards, teachers, and cooks, just to name a few. Farquharson says the key to not being overlooked is to register with the Department of Labor.
There's a cross-section of needs. We want to encourage members of the public who are seeking a job to register with the Department of Labor online portal, www.jobseekers.bahamas.gov. We will do our best to find you a job. Many job opportunities out there. We can only help you if you register with us.
The Labor Director also urging New Providence residents not to overlook opportunities that may take them to Family Islands, noting there are also existing opportunities in Exuma, Abaco, and Grand Bahama. Shawnee Miller-Weibo to compete at this weekend's meet in Grand Bahama. Also, young card racers look to represent the Bahamas. Marcellus Hall is up now in sports.
All right, thanks, Bethany. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Well, 2 days and counting before the NACAC Area Championships take place in Freeport, Grand Bahama. That being said, the excitement is building as Team Bahamas has now been announced, and on that team will be Shawnee Miller-Weibo. She'll be representing the Bahamas, of course, in her specialty. We'll give you details on that as we get closer to that event, but as we said, so far so good. Things are certainly looking strong for Team Bahamas. Meanwhile, some other news as a new sport, well, new, old, whichever one you want to call it, but it's back again. Go-kart racing will be once again taking on full center stage for the Bahamas. A young team being put together to represent the Bahamas at a major event. Let's take a look. For the first time ever, the Bahamas will take a team to represent the country at the Motorsports Olympics. To that end, there have been daily training sessions with prospective athletes over at the drag racing complex located in the Blue Hill Sporting area. A number of those athletes have been going through their paces under the watchful eyes of a number of top officials within the association, looking now to put the best team forward. One of those athletes talking about the opportunity to take the track.
Okay. My name is Caden Johnson. I'm 16, and I enjoyed my first time. First time in a go-kart. Like the sharp turns were pretty fun. Braking wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
Now, track and field legend Pauline Davis-Thompson also paid a visit to the venue today, giving the athletes encouragement as to what they are going to be doing now as they represent the country at this next level. As it is now, the young athletes will now look up to one of their own as they look forward now to once again donning the Bahamas colors. And that is your check on sports for you here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Bethany.
Still ahead on our news tonight, the popular lunchtime drink parents may want to skip this school year. We'll tell you the recall notice. Plus, Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended outlook and that deep dive we promised you into Bahamian history. The story when our news returns.
The Bahamas Chinese Dragon Boat Association is proud to welcome you to the inaugural Bahamas Dragon Boat Festival at Goodman's Bay, August 20th and 21st. Come and join your Chinese Bahamian family and friends as they display a complete fusion of our cultures. Race heats will be held on Saturday, August 20th with the finals, medal presentation and live entertainment on Sunday, August 21st. Come out and have a really special weekend. Co-sponsored and supported by Caribbean Bottling, Commonwealth Brewery Limited and the Ministry of Tourism.
Welcome back to our news. Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard slamming the government for switching the dates for the back-to-school VAT holiday. You may recall the holiday was initially scheduled to begin last week. However, the date was changed to August 22nd. The holiday will run through to September 11th. Pintard insists the Davis administration only followed through on the VAT holiday after being pressed by the opposition. The F&M leader says the larger issue is that people need to get their children ready for school, and many of them simply can't afford to do so.
Any help right now would be useful, but what is important is for the government to move quickly, make sure that its technical team is working with the business community so that they can properly prepare for this and to assist persons who are trying to get their children into school. And then, of course, the government must give urgent assistance to social services so that those students who need uniform assistance and other kinds of assistance, that they could get it on a timely basis.
The opposition leader also explaining the VAT back-to-school holiday was not mentioned in the most recent budget.
The government, in a kind of knee-jerk reaction, jumped in without properly evaluating what needed to be done, because they made no provisions in their budget exercise to make this happen, which is something we thought would lighten the public's burden. And so now they are where they are.
If you're planning packed lunches for the start of the new school year, you may want to double-check your shelves. Kraft Heinz, the maker of Capri Sun, has issued a voluntary recall of about 5,700 cases of Capri Sun wild cherry flavored juice drinks. According to the company, the recall comes after a diluted cleaning solution used on the food processing equipment was inadvertently introduced into a production line at one of the factories. Several consumers complained about the taste of the affected product. The best when used by date on the affected products is June 25, 2023. The Bahamas Agricultural Health and Food Safety Authority also issuing a recall notice today, advising consumers not to consume the product. Tropics remaining quiet for now, but a strong wave moving in from the African coast, worth watching for the next couple of days.
Thanks again, Berthany. Welcome back, everybody, for our second look at weather. Still watching the tropics out there. A couple of systems that we're continuing to monitor. One in the southwestern Caribbean. The National Hurricane Center still giving that about a 20% chance for formation as it continues to pull towards the west. Should move into the Bay of Campeche, which is just to the east of Mexico. And it's probably going to make a little bit of a chance for development over the next couple of hours. But we expect that system to stay very close to landmass and continue to weaken as it pulls towards the west. Out into the open Atlantic, Saharan dust still inhibiting tropical cyclone development, but a very strong tropical wave coming off the African coast. And of course, we are approaching the peak of the hurricane season. We will continue to monitor that location for the next couple of weeks as our systems start to come off of Africa a little stronger. Locally around our area, that upper level disturbance to the north of us still triggering some isolated showers across the northwest Bahamas, but the surface high pressure is still very weak and it's going to continue to generate some light winds, and the dry air mass will continue to keep our temperatures soaring into the low 90s and your feels like temperature into the triple digits. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the south to southwest at 10 knots. They will fall light and variable at times. Seas running 1 to 3 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 7:12 tonight. For the central and southeastern islands, your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Your seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your 7-day forecast, quiet weather throughout the period actually. High pressure will remain in charge. Will start to build back by the weekend, so we're looking at increasing winds, a freshening of the winds, but those temperatures will remain near the 90-degree mark, and your feels like temperature during the daytime will be in the triple digits. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe evening, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. The Bahamas Maritime Museum is now open in Grand Bahama, and it's great news for Bahamian history enthusiasts. The two-story museum located in the heart of Port Lucaya Marketplace has quite the history itself, including a modern treasure hunt. Armalina Leonard has more on the story.
Located in Freeport's Port Lucaya Marketplace, the Bahamas Maritime Museum is the first of its kind in the Bahamas, covering Bahamian maritime history from indigenous Lucayan divers, Spanish treasure fleets, and the horrors of the slave trade. It also takes a deep dive into the Bahamas' history as the pirate capital of the Americas. The highlight of the museum is its featured treasures found in the wreckage of the Nuestra Señora de las Maravillas, a Spanish galleon which sank off the Little Bahama Bank in 1656. The project is a collaboration between Carl and Gigi Allen of Allen Exploration and the Bahamas government, and both the research efforts and the museum feature teams with Bahamians at the helm. The museum's director, Dr. Michael Pateman, saying,
"When Mr. Allen offered me this job as the curator for the museum, he gave me a challenge. He wanted me to develop this museum using as much Bahamian talent as possible and to use Grand Bahama vendors whenever possible. Well, Mr. Allen, challenge accepted and challenge delivered. We are the first step into the revitalization of this area, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens here over the next several years."
Acting Minister for Grand Bahama, Dr. Michael Darville, says,
"I believe it will be a strong draw. It will be incorporated in our tourism product here on the island of Grand Bahama. and I believe it will attract people from around the world back to Grand Bahama.
The museum, now open to the public, is an exciting addition for Bahamian historical enthusiasts. Carl Allen, founder and CEO of Allen Exploration and sponsor of the Bahamas Maritime Museum, promises this museum is not the last of its kind to come.
It's a prototype. It's a test. We are going to go to Nassau. We're going to build a museum there as soon as we can.
Reporting for our news, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Berthany McDermott. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a wonderful evening, Bahamas.